welcome to the farm. Today we're talking, you've married the farmer, now what? And we are in Walcha, New South Wales with AJ. Thanks, AJ.
It's okay, Katja. It's good to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your family and your farming operation?
Right, it's hard to know where to start. We've been here at Walcha for 7 years and we're on a sheep cattle place here, 50 k's south of Walcha. And we came from Weewar, so we were on a sheep and cattle place and farming place at Weewar. Prior to that, Jim had been there all his life, and so we now moved here. We had 3 grown-up boys, and what else can I tell you about them? Richard lives at home. The middle one lives at home with his wife, and the eldest one's in Orange, and the youngest is in Dubbo. So, yeah. And
what makes up your farming operation? Are you predominantly sheep graziers?
We're predominantly sheep. We have wool sheep as well as crossbreds. So a bit of both, but mainly sheep and just a few cattle. Yeah, as a side. Because.
Yep. Yeah. And what was the cause for moving from Weewar to Walcha?
I think because we were looking for a fattening block for lambs. We were sort of in an area that was becoming predominantly farming, and we weren't as interested in the farming side of things. And so we were ultimately looking for a block that we were going to run both places, and then we found where we are now and decided we would move here. So we could just run sheep in that. Yeah. And that's
all the trucks decided to come past as soon
There was
as
not
we
one
started.
truck beforehand.
Before we continue with today's episode, I would like to give a shout out to Tupperware. Tupperware is the supportive link for this episode. It is a farmer's friend. Whether you are using it to cook in your kitchen, using it to organise your pantry, or using it to take food and meals down the paddock, Tupperware is a friend for you. Please check out the link below. It is an affiliate link. And now on to today's interview. So AJ, over the years, tell me a little bit how you started on farm and how your role has changed from there.
Right, how I started on farm a long time ago, 32 years ago. I was actually working still in town a couple of days a week on farm, and I really didn't do a lot out of farm helping in that time. And then once we had the children, the boys, I was just helping as more a gopher. And yes, so, running to town to pick things up, or, dropping this piece, something here and something there, and helping out in that way. As the boys got older, though, we were all helping with sheep and shearing and mustering and doing all that sort of thing, land marking and all those sorts of things associated with the sheep. I didn't start doing the office work for a fair while. The boys were in high school, I think, before I started doing the office work. But now I do all that, and I still am the gopher or the run to town to do this, or help out in the yards when needed. That sort of thing. Yeah. So I've always just been that extra person when needed.
Yeah.
But I have also had off-farm work. I did work at preschool for 14 years, just 1 or 2 days a week, when the children were at school.
Yeah. So when you were taking the kids down and helping with the sheep, what type of setup did you take for them, or they just came with you? They
just came. We did, when they were really little, we used to set the portable cot up in the sheep yards. Yep. Should I be saying?
Yes.
And they used to play in that, and yes, or they were helping, because once they were able to help, or they thought they were helping. They thought they were helping.
You gave them an important role of thinking they were helping.
That's right.
That stops them from getting up to mischief, at least.
Yes. But they were always sort of wanting to be there and, yes, helping out. in wherever they could.
Yeah. I've talked previously on my channel about the importance of a go bag when heading down the paddock, either for yourself or with the kids, and just taking those nappies or the wipes or the snacks and the drink bottle. Did you used to have anything like that, or a stash in the car?
Probably had a stash in the car. I never went anywhere without I used to have a little box, because we had 3 boys. I used to have a little box of Matchbox cars in my handbag all the time. Boys don't need, no, give them a car and they were happy in the dirt.
When you first moved to the farm, AJ, was there any surprises or hurdles?
Probably, I don't know about surprises, but just the getting used to being so far from town. We were 60 k's from Weewar and 85 k's from Narrabri, so it was a long way. I grew up in Sydney, so it was a big change in that, and just having to be that little bit more organised and having, because you can't just go to town at the drop of a hat, so that was a big thing, just getting used to that side of things.
So the organisation side of that, was that more on timings, or was it also, tell me a little bit about the organisation you're referring to.
I don't know that. Just having to, we just get very used, I used to shop once a month, so you just, I was very roadless, get very organised. And we also, the boys and I used to meal plan, so we had the menu up on the fridge and we did a month at a time, so you then went and bought the groceries. And also you realise that if you run out of one thing, you can always use something else. There's always something else. So, I think you just have to have a little bit sometimes.
Be a little bit creative in the
bit
cooking.
Creative and yes, but because you kill your own, we kill our own meat and always have your own lamb, that sort of makes it a little bit easier. Yes. So.
What other items would you say were your pantry staples?
When the boys were at home, milk and Weet-Bix were pantry staples. They were always there, I think, and pasta. They were big pasta eaters, so they were probably the main things that you always made sure you had. And they did love a bit of jats and cherries.
What did lunches consist of on the farm? Did Jim used to come back for lunch, or did you used to take things down the paddock?
It was a bit of both, but there was always cold meat in the fridge, so then you can either, make up a sandwich or make a salad or whatever, so it's always that sort of thing, something easy like that. So to just, and it was sometimes pack it up and take it down the paddock, and sometimes it was having that at home. Just depends what work was happening at the time. And that's the same with dinner, because during harvest and things like that, you were packing everything up and running it down the paddock. So, that sort of thing.
It sounds like you were learning a lot of lessons along the way. What would you say would be your top lessons learnt on the farm?
Probably just being that little bit flexible. Don't be too set in your ways, and just make the most of everything. Like everything that you do. I've always said to the boys, anything's only what you make of it. You can have a terrible time or you can have a great time. Just embrace life and whatever's happening. And we've learnt to do that, and you've also got to learn to have to spend time on your own as well, because you can't be with other people all the time. That's a big thing, and so having things that keep you occupied, I suppose. And I have too many of those things, because I'm a sewer and a knitter, and I just have too many hobbies.
Lots of good hobbies. How did you go getting used to the load, like being on your own? Was there, apart from the hobbies, was there anything else that sort of made being on the farm and away from everyone else just that little bit easier? No, I just think I was happy with that. Have 3 boys.
Have 3 boys, and you don't ever have time on your own. But no, yes, when you have the boys, and the boys kept you busy, because we did playgroups and preschool and all that sort of thing, and occasional care. So once you start doing those sorts of things, you get into a bit of a routine, and so you don't have time, I don't think, to feel like you're lonely.
Being on the farm meant that you would have changed from constant water supply in Sydney to being on tank water. Was it just tank or bore water as well on your place?
We had both. We didn't when we first moved to Walcha, but we have now bore water as well. It's big, and that was a big wake up because you just had rainwater. So during the drought I had a hose attached to the washing machine with river water, washing the clothes, which didn't really work. But that was the alternative. But you just, we've been lucky. We have been lucky with that water, because when we haven't had rainwater, we have had bore water. And our bore water now is quite drinkable and quite, it's really good. So.
Travelling the long distances, particularly when you were at the Wee War blog, was there anything that was must-haves either in a car that you purchased or that you would then add to the car to make sure that it was good for the trips and set up for you and the boys?
I don't know that we did. We were fairly strict parents in the fact that they were never allowed any devices in the car. We all listened to the radio or the CDs, and they all had choices of who could play what. But then we used to have, they used to have games, not electronic games, but they had the thinking games, so like a rush hour game. I don't know whether you know those. And so they had quite a few of those that were always in the car, and music, but we never ever had videos, DVDs, or any of that, or Game Boys, and they weren't allowed to use their headphones in the car either. So
we were allowed books, or we were told to look out the window.
Yeah, we had one who used to get really car sick, so we didn't have books. And we played games. We played, the cricket and I Spy games and those sorts of car games. But they just had to put up with it.
Yeah.
You just get it. They didn't love it.
Hey Jay, on either the Wee War property or out here at Walcha, during the drastic season changes such as drought and floods and fires, was there anything in particular that you learnt when those were happening?
In the floods, we learnt we needed lots of air because there were lots of mosquitoes.
Yes.
And we also, we didn't have a car for 16 weeks in one flood because we couldn't drive it home through the water. So that was a big learning curve, having 3 small boys at home without being able to go anywhere for that period of time. But you just sort of, you make do with what you've got. So that was our thing for that time. But the boys were home. Oh, well, they weren't at school then, that flood. And then they were at school for another time and they couldn't go to school for a little while. And that was back in the days when there was fax machines, so school faxed them schoolwork. And one said, you can't tell me what to do, and they just went outside and didn't do it. So that was fine. Drought times was totally different too. We don't want to think about those.
No, we don't want to think about those.
don't want to think about those, but they were certainly tough times.
How was handling the dust in the house?
That was terrible.
Terrible. Did you have any tips or tricks on how to keep the dust out?
No, but we used to try to close the house, but it was terrible. I mean, I just don't know how there was always just dirt. The worst was when you did, by mistake, leave a window or door open and you'd be able to write your name on surfaces and that sort of stuff. That was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
But there was nothing you could do about it. There was just nothing. You just had to sort of, as much as you could, close things up. And,
I interviewed a beautiful farmer from Canamble a few weeks ago, and she said that, she tried to keep on top of it, and then she ended up getting a leaf blower, and she just leaf blow it.
Oh, because of the... Not sure how good that would... Anyway, it was terrible. The worst part was when you went onto the surfaces you don't normally look at, like the tops of the fridges and stuff like that you but I'm not very good at dusting. Suddenly afterwards you realise, oh my God, it's really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. But anyway, look, there was nothing you could do about it except just kind of deal with it.
Yeah. AJ, if you were talking to someone and they were moving to the farm for the first time, would there be any advice that you would give them?
Probably my age-old thing of just make the most of it.
Make the most.
Make the most of it, and keep the communication lines going too. Talk. Don't. I think we all, for our own sanity, need to make sure you still, when you go to town, meet up with friends for lunch or coffee or whatever, and do that. Don't think that you can't do that anymore, or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Once you have children as well, you need to make the effort to do that. Sometimes I used to wonder why I was going to playgroup and things like that. But then once you get there, it's fantastic and you realise how great it is. So you just have to do all those things that you can, and also be involved in life on the farm as well. You can't necessarily wait for your husband to come home. You can pack up lunch and go up there and that sort of thing. And get involved in doing that as well.
Thank you, AJ, for joining us here on the podcast and YouTube channel today.
That's a pleasure, Katja.
For previous interviews, please click the link down in the description below and it will take you to some of the other interview playlists. If you are interested in Tupperware or any of the other affiliate links that the Rural Mum has, they are also down in the description below. Those links support us and continue to bring interviews such as this one to you at home and on the farm. So until next time, thank you very much.